This week I'm beginning, but not finishing, to make some mead. To begin with, a quick overview of our ingredients and tools. We have yeast, honey, yeast nutrient, sterilizer, a wooden spoon, a funnel, a demijohn, a stick-on thermometer, a graduated cylinder and hydrometer, and an airlock. The first thing we want to do is sanitize everything. This prevents any bad bacterias or things that we don't want to be growing from growing in the yeast colony, which we do want to grow. So I'm mixing up some sanitizing solution according to the instructions on the particular sanitizer that I have. I'm adding some of that to the fermenter, some to the pan to sanitize the various implements that I have in there, and to the graduated cylinder. I'll let these sit for about 5 minutes, and you can sit for about 3 seconds. When brewing alcoholic drinks, yeasts are used to convert sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Different yeasts have different tolerances to alcohol concentrations, and so can produce stronger or weaker drinks. The yeast that we're using can, in theory, go up to about 18% ABV. Realistically, though, it'll be unlikely to get quite that far. We'd like to make a sweet mead by the end of this. If we don't use enough honey, all of the sugar will be converted into alcohol, and we'll get a very dry drink. If we use more sugar than the yeast can convert to alcohol, we'll end up with a sweet drink, as some of the sugar will remain unfermented. If we use way too much sugar, the yeast will have trouble starting to do its thing, as the sugar then starts acting as a preservative. To work out how much honey to use, we're going to use a hydrometer. This measures the density of a liquid relative to the density of water. So dense liquids, such as a sugary solution, will cause the hydrometer to float up. Less dense liquids, such as pure ethanol, will cause it to sink. This brewer's hydrometer has markings to show the potential ABV that a sugar solution has at different densities. So I'll start by using a graduated cylinder to measure an approximate ratio of water to honey to try and get to about 18%. I started by putting 70 ml of water into the graduated cylinder, and then I spooned in bits of honey, bit by bit, tipping it up to mix it in, and measured the potential ABV on the hydrometer for that density of honey-water solution. I found about 30 ml of honey to 70 ml of water was about right for the strength that we would like to achieve with this drink. Though as we scale this up to the size of the full fermenter, we discover that there's not quite enough honey to do that. So I just added all of the honey, which means that the mead will either not be as strong as we'd like, or will just be more dry. Now as I record voiceover, I'm going to close my eyes, as I made quite a mess with this. I first tried pouring the honey directly into the fermenter, despite knowing from previous experience that this does not work so well. One of our jars of honey had also half crystallized, and I really should have gently warmed this up to melt the crystals. So, after a bit of fumbling, I finally used the pan and jug for what I'd originally intended, and mixed the honey with some water to make it significantly easier to pour. A lot of mess and some swirls of the jar later, though, and all of the honey is added. We've topped up the rest with water, leaving a little gap at the top for any bubbles to do their thing. At this point we can take a starting gravity reading, using the hydrometer to measure how much sugar is in the solution. The reading I got from this was about 1.118. Then we add yeast into the fermenter. This is called pitching the yeast. The packet that we've got is enough to ferment about 5 times this volume, but as it's small, I'll add roughly half. At this point, we'll add about 1/3 of a teaspoon of yeast nutrient to help get it going, and give it a quick swirl to incorporate it. Finally, we add the airlock, and now we can just sit back and wait for bubbles. If you like this video, please let us know, and subscribe for part 2 in about 4 to 6 weeks. Thanks for watching. Bye.